Hello everyone, we are from Group A. We'll show you our video about presenting a product or service about vaccine AstraZeneca. But before that, I will introduce to all of you our group member. With me, Joyce Vera Monica as a doctor, Carlos Egenta Bangun as a government, Deborah Sonta as a health worker, and Andres Daci as a editor. Let's see and happy watching! Due to increasing number of COVID-19 cases, the government was holding a meeting on solution to reduce the number of deaths caused by COVID-19. The government held a meeting with the doctors and health workers.
It has the highest COVID-19 mortality rate in Asia, hovering at around 8 to 9%. Indonesia also has the most number of coronavirus deaths in the region, second only to China.
To be honest, the government's early response of their tackling of the COVID-19 pandemic has been substandard from the very beginning. If you recall earlier in the year when China, when South Korea, Singapore, countries around the region started declaring their coronavirus counts, Indonesia was still very much in denial about how many cases they had. They even declared that they didn't have any COVID-19 cases well until early March.
Indonesia has been ramping up its fight against COVID-19. But there's concern that the move may have come too little, too late.
The phone is ringing and tells our mother passed away. It's completely blown my mind, drowning in the sadness.
They were only given 4 to 5 hours to prepare all the funeral arrangements, and only his wife and a priest from the church were allowed to be at the funeral.
Can you imagine the one you love? No one can come, only my wife and one priest from our church.
Indonesia's health ministry has admitted that the mortality rate of 9% is much higher than the global average. But the true number of COVID-19 related deaths may never be known.
The majority of observers know that the figures that are being released by the government is perhaps far from accurate. If we look at the numbers of admissions to hospitals alone, if we look at the numbers, the higher levels of mortality rates across cities, across Indonesia alone, we know that this number is not correct. So the danger of using this kind of figures as a measure to how well Indonesia doing is dangerous because it's just simply misleading.
Does Indonesia, a country known for its inadequate medical infrastructure, have the resources to handle the rising number of patients?
Indonesia has one of the lowest testing rates in the world. So far, the country has only tested around 108,000 people, which means it has tested only around 319 people per 1 million population, which is much lower than Vietnam, for example, who has tested more than 2,600 people per 1 million population.
Indonesia faces a severe shortage of vital breathing devices to treat people with the disease. According to the Health Ministry, Indonesia has just over 8,000 ventilators nationwide for a population of 270 million people. It also has 2.7 critical care beds for every 100,000 patients.
And then we look at the number of hospital and number of physicians or doctors. They're all far below the demand.
According to a 2017 WHO survey, the country only has 4 doctors for every 10,000 people, well behind Malaysia, which has 15 in terms of doctor-to-patient ratio. There's been an extremely high mortality rate among healthcare workers. As of early May, the pandemic has killed 38 doctors and 17 nurses.
This is due to lack of facility, like PPE, for example. Indonesia's healthcare at the moment is on the brink of breaking down. because there's just so many patients.
Pernah disampaikan bahwa ini kita masih di fase awal gitu. Yang mana begitu nanti pertumbuhan tinggi, tenaga medis sudah nggak mencukupi lagi. Baik dari sisi fasilitas rumah sakit, kamar, maupun tenaga medis sendiri. Karena tenaga medis terbatas.
President Jokowi has reallocated some $26 billion from the 2020 budget to fund the fight against COVID-19. The government has also recently built a specialist hospital on Galang Island in Riau to treat COVID-19 patients from across the nation. A team of Indonesian engineers are also working around the clock to produce compact ventilators.
Of course, these have to be supported by follow-up policies so that these steps could be effective.
But in a dramatic turn of events, the government has signaled that it will ease some of the social restrictions to curb the spread of the virus. This is despite criticisms from epidemiologists who warned against easing such restrictions too early unless it has strong evidence to show that the coronavirus curve has been flattened. Amid the economic downturn caused by the COVID-19 outbreak, according to government estimates, some 5.2 million people will lose their jobs, and almost 4 million Indonesians will fall into poverty.
Indonesia is facing a tough choice at the moment, right? Whether to safeguard its economy or save the lives of its citizens. And a lot of governments around the world are facing the very same choice right now. When to open up restrictions, what to do next, etc.
The state of the world and several countries around the world are not doing well. We have done various ways to prevent the spread of this COVID-19, like lockdown and doing all activities online.
Right, but that's not enough to get rid of COVID-19.
If so, is there a solution that you can provide for this COVID case?
In various countries, they have vaccinated to reduce this COVID case, and I suggest this government also do the same thing.
Yes, that's right. But there are many types of vaccine circulating. Which vaccine will we use?
I suggest to use AstraZeneca vaccine.
In South Korea, the first shots of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine went into arms today. But as in other outlier countries like France, not in anyone over 65, because the supporting clinical trials didn't include enough seniors. So Health Canada had to ask the question.
Would the benefits of getting the vaccine versus not getting the vaccine, could the benefits outweigh the risk? And the answer to that was yes.
At the start of the pandemic, Oxford AstraZeneca was considered the front-runner vaccine. Unlike Pfizer and Moderna, it uses a modified virus to trigger an immune response. But problems with its clinical trials created delays, leading to questions about dosing and how effective it is, especially in seniors.
I have no doubt whatsoever that this will work perfectly well in older people, and I think most people with any experience in vaccine science would say the same thing.
Indeed, in about 50 countries, the vaccine has already gone into millions of arms, many of those elderly. And the vaccine's 62% effectiveness in clinical trials is turning out to be higher in real-world use. Still, in a controversial move, South Africa suspended its rollout because of the new variant that emerged there. Preliminary results show the vaccine wasn't very effective at stopping people from getting mild or moderate symptoms, but that may not be the best measure of success.
The best outcome it will be to prevent serious complications from the infection. So that's why if a vaccine can do that, I think it's fulfilling its main purpose.
AstraZeneca is already working on reformulating its vaccine to address variants, but that'll likely be in later booster shots. So that shouldn't slow down the vaccine's rollout. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's bring in one of the people who is part of that approval process, Health Canada's Chief Medical Advisor, Dr. Supriya Sharma. And Dr. Sharma, there's reporting tonight that the United States is about to approve a fourth vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson one. What's the timeline for that in Canada?
So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is under review. We just received some final information today. So if all goes well and there's no issues with that information, we can expect to see a decision potentially in the next couple of weeks.
And for now, of course, we have 3 vaccines approved here. Should Canadians be able to choose which one they get?
So, if a vaccine is authorized by Health Canada, it means that it has met standards for safety, efficacy, and quality. Overall, the benefits outweigh the risks, and that it works in those areas that we really need it to. So, preventing very severe COVID-19, preventing deaths from COVID-19. So, there are no good and bad vaccines. So, I would say to Canadians, when it's your turn and it's your time to get vaccinated, that you roll up your sleeves and that you take the vaccine that's offered to you, and that'll help all of us bring down the COVID-19 numbers across Canada, which is the most important thing that we're trying to do.
Dr. Sharma, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Then, what about the effectiveness of the AstraZeneca vaccine?
In a recent study in the UK 12 June 2021, the effectiveness of the AstraZeneca vaccine after the second dose was 79% reduced risk of asymptomatic COVID-19 infection and 92% reduced risk of symptomatic COVID-19 infection, with a pause in the injection of the first dose and second dose. The second for 12 weeks.
There are any criteria for people who cannot be vaccinated against AstraZeneca?
So far, people who are not allowed to use AstraZeneca vaccine causing contraindication and those who have a history of HIT, heparin-induced thrombocytopenia, and thrombosis, so that blood clots appear due to heparin treatment. However, these cases, they are rare and not many.
Is the AstraZeneca vaccine able to fight the new variant of COVID-19?
The most common COVID-19 variant in Indonesia today is Delta variant. Some time ago, there was also an Alpha variant. For the AstraZeneca vaccine, according to the WHO statement, it has been proven effective against the 2 variants of COVID-19. Of course, this vaccine has risks. However, the risk is not proportional to the many benefits provided if we use the vaccine.
Okay, I agree. Hopefully, this vaccine can reduce and cure this COVID-19 case.